Hey, Ty here, so welcome to the VR Tech channel, and here we are back with the PSVR 2, the latest and greatest virtual reality headset from Sony. And this is the Meta Quest 2. So in this video I thought it was kind of fun to compare the pros and cons of each, and maybe help you decide which one to get. So this video is for you if you're thinking to upgrade from the Quest 2 to the PSVR 2, a lot of 2s, or if it's your first time in VR and you don't know if you want to join Team Sony or Team Meta. So well, let's get to the bottom of it. Let's get into it. So well, comparing these two behemoths of VR headsets is not an easy task. That's why I decided to divide this video in different categories. So we're gonna give a point to one or the other if one is better or something or not, and if they're even a tie. I'm gonna leave the points there the entire time so we can keep track of it to see which one is going ahead or behind. And at the end of the video, hopefully, we're gonna have a winner. I hope so. But yeah, here we are. Let's start with the hardware. This is very important because these two headsets are very different in terms of hardware. In fact, the Meta Quest 2 is a standalone headset. That means that everything is included in there. It's gonna have a battery, it's gonna have a processor, the games are gonna run directly on it, and you're not gonna need anything external to play with it. You just put it on and you are in the game. Instead, the PSVR 2, well, is a console headset. That means that it's gonna rely on the power of the PS5 to actually run. It has screens, it has cameras for the tracking, but it doesn't have any battery, it doesn't have any processor, so by itself it's not gonna work. And it's also gonna need a cable to be connected to the PS5 to actually run. I don't really want to give a point here because it really depends on your use scenario, so it's really up of what you need or what you want, but it was important to explain because this is the base of everything in this comparison. If you don't have a PS5, well, no PSVR 2. So this is a tie, and that's a point that you can give at the end for your decision. Power to you. Anyway, what's not a tie is computational power. So as we said, the Quest 2 is a standalone headset that runs on the XR2 processor. This is a mobile processor that was made directly from Qualcomm to actually run in the best way possible on virtual reality systems. Instead, the PSVR 2 runs on the PS5 with a system on chip based on the RDNA2 architecture. This is the latest generation of console on the market, able to push games 4K 120 Hz with ray tracing and stuff like that. So yeah, it's pretty powerful. So yeah, you may have understood that there's not really a match here. We're talking about a mobile chipset, a phone, compared to a dedicated console made for gaming. And this in theory should bring bigger games and better graphics. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. The point this time goes to the PSVR 2. And after power, it's time to talk about comfort. The situation here is very particular because these two headsets use different design. The Quest 2 uses a strap design. That means it's gonna press directly on your face, and with the strap it's gonna stay in position as best as possible. The problem here is that the headset is very heavy because, again, it's a standalone headset, so all the hardware is included in there. And so if you follow the channel, you know that this thing has to be modded with different straps and something like that to make it enjoyable to use, let's say. Instead, the PSVR 2 uses an halo style design. That means that the headset actually sits on your forehead and stays directly on your head without giving any pressure on your face. You might know that I'm not a super fan of the halo style design in terms of comfort because it can give headaches to some people, like me. But in this case, the headset is balanced and light enough to actually be comfortable also for long time sessions. I was impressed. So yeah, of course, the points goes to the PSVR 2. And now let's talk about build quality. Well, I'm gonna say it right away, this is a tie, because these headsets are both built to be as cheap as possible for the features that they have inside. So the plastics are minimal to keep it as light as possible. I have to say that the Quest 2 feels a bit more solid, and so it's kind of a good thing, but I really love all the Easter eggs on the PSVR 2. So yeah, as we said, a tie. But now let's talk about the screens. This is very particular because on paper, well, there's no competition at all. The Quest 2 has an LCD display with a resolution of 1832 by 1920 each eye, running up to 120 Hz. Instead, the PSVR 2 has an HDR OLED display with a resolution of 2000 by 2040 each eye, running up to 120 Hz as well. So well, on paper, PSVR 2 has better contrast, better colors, better resolution, better pretty much everything, right? Well, Kind of. Because, well, in VR is not just about the resolution, and the Quest 2 is just crisper, it's easier to read text, it's easier to see details, and I'm not really sure what's going on with the PSVR 2, but yeah, we have amazing colors, amazing contrast, but it seems like they put a filter on this screen to hide the screen door effect, and yeah, everything feels blurrier than what it should. So yeah, it should be an easy win for the PSVR 2, but yeah, at the end falls back to the usual. Do you prefer the colors and the blacks of the OLED, or do you prefer the crispness and resolution of the LCD display? Well, to me, it's fair to give a tie. I can't just stress enough how bright is the screen of the PSVR 2, by the way. It's around 600 nits. It's bright. By the way, we're gonna talk more about this topic in my 3D lenses video. I'm working on it, so stay tuned for that if you're interested in going further in that. But yeah, so far this is the situation. And now let's talk about the lenses. Well, they both have Fresnel lenses. This is the first attempt from Sony making Fresnel lenses. Unfortunately, the sweet spot is very small and the image gets blurry very fast if you look around. Here we can see the experience from Meta making these lenses from more generations. The Fresnel lenses on the Quest 2 were very good back then, and of course they're still very good right now. Bigger sweet spot, less cut rays, less glaring, so yeah, the point goes to the Quest 2. But now let's talk about the IPD adjustment, the ability to set the lenses in the right spot for your eyes. Well, this is actually an easy win for the PSVR 2, because on top has a stepless wheel with which you can move the lenses left and right to actually match the distance between your eyes. Also, thanks to the included eye tracking, this procedure is super easy and fast. Prompt to Sony for it. Instead, on the Quest 2 we had the worst idea Meta ever had, having just 3 different steps from the IPD, and if you sit in the right one, you're lucky. If you don't, well, you're not gonna have the best experience out there. Stepless IPD is way better, so point to the PSVR 2. And it's time to talk about the FOV. This is the field of view, how much you see of the game, and at the same time, it's kind of a thing that makes you more immersed or not in the game. Bigger it is, better it is. Usually it's like that. And here we have a 9500 degrees for my Meta Quest 2 compared to 110 degrees, a bit more maybe on the PSVR 2. It just feels bigger and better. Also, I love the fact that when you are in the PSVR 2, you don't have any light leakage. You're completely in the game. Everything you see is just the game, and that's about it. Instead, on the Quest 2, you always have the opening on the nose, and now, well, you can see all around. It might be good for some people. For me, it breaks immersion. So, well, of course, the point goes to the PSVR 2. So now, of course, it's time to talk about the controllers. In this section, it's kind of hard to give a point because Oculus, now Meta, invented this kind of a design that then everyone copied at the end of the day. So yeah, the inspiration to make the PSVR 2 controllers quite clear. With that on the Quest 2, we have controllers that are very ergonomic and slippery, and they feel like perfect in the hands, refined after many generations. The PSVR 2 controllers instead sit a bit weird on your hands. The awesome feature that they have though is the adaptive triggers, giving you resistance, tension, and also feeling like actually pulling the trigger on a real gun. This is pretty cool, but it comes with a big flaw, that is this grip button that unfortunately is just a button. And that for me kind of breaks the immersion when in games, because grabbing something, it really needs a lot of effort. It's not as seamless as the Quest 2. Also, a big drawback of the PSVR 2 is the fact that the battery life is around 4 or 5 hours, and it's really not enough when compared to the Meta Quest 2 that can stay weeks charged. So yeah, I have to give a tie to these two guys. And we can't talk about the controllers without talking about the tracking. Both these headsets use inside-out tracking, so they use the 4 cameras there to track the environment, understand your position in the virtual reality world, and also the position of your hands, of your controllers in-game. Easy as that. Now they're both pretty good, they do what they have to do, and you can play pretty much every game without any problem, but I noticed actually some hiccups with the PSVR 2 when I was getting too close to my headset with the controllers. Instead, it's something that barely happens with the Meta Quest 2 that has a better prediction algorithm. It's maybe something that they can improve in software on the PSVR 2 side, but right now for tracking, the Quest 2 is just better. Point there. And now let's talk about the audio. Well, here there's not really competition. The Meta Quest 2 has integrated audio with 2 little speakers on the side. They do what they have to do. You can of course use the headphone jack or Bluetooth to use any headphone that you want, but yeah, the quality, it is what it is. Instead, the PSVR 2 used the Tempest engine on the PS5 to actually give a much better and immersive 3D audio. It comes with integrated earbuds that are pretty good to be honest, in terms of clarity. But there is a headphone jack there, so you can use whatever you want, or use the Bluetooth with the PS5. The computing behind, though, makes the experience much better. So, of course, the points goes big time to the PSVR 2. Where the PSVR 2 doesn't win, though, is software. You see, this is a particular strong point for Meta. This is a system built directly for virtual reality. Everything feels at home, you have a hub environment where you can interact, select games. It's a seamless experience all the time. I mean, it has an operating system built in VR and for VR, Minority Report style. Instead, the PSVR 2 is simply, well, this is the PS5 dashboard in front of you on a big screen. Select what you want with the thumbsticks, and that's it. Go play, kid. There's so much more effort on the Quest 2 on this front. You can use this thing not just for gaming, but also for productivity, experiences. I mean, on the Quest 2 we have tracking, mixed reality games, PC VR connectivity if you want to play PC games. Well, of course, the points goes to the Meta Quest 2 here. It's just miles better. But we can talk about software without talking about games. Because yes, the PSVR 2 just launched, so there are not many games available just yet. At least as a launch lineup. Many are arriving and many look absolutely incredible, but so far there's not much. Instead, the Quest 2 had years to actually create a lineup of games, create a catalog where you can play pretty much what you want. The problem though, we don't have enough power to run big games. Yes, we had Resident Evil 4, for example. We had The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. But these are all games that might arrive, and they're actually arriving also to PSVR 2. Resident Evil 4, they're making the remake with a VR version, for example, with the new graphics. Here you can play GT7, Resident Evil Village, Horizon Call of the Mountain with amazing graphics. And also all the Quest 2 games that are porting over there. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Quest 2 is not bad for gaming, actually has great games over there, and I always have a lot of fun playing there. But yeah, on the PSVR 2, they're just gonna look better in resolution and details, and we have the possibility to get bigger games as well. So yeah, the point goes to the PSVR 2. The next is an easy point because it is an important thing. Then it's kind of a generational step forward when it comes to VR. And of course, we're talking about the eye tracking. What it does is actually enhance the game graphics because it's going to render the majority of the pixels exactly what you're looking at, creating a lot of headroom for better games. As we said, it gives you the ability to set the IPD in the right way and sit the headset in the right way. And then the PSVR 2 is also cleverly used to select things in menus or even to help you aiming while you're shooting. And maybe in the future could be used also on the PSVR 2 in social games to actually have a better eye contact with people. It's an amazing technology and should be in every VR headset going forward, so yeah, point goes to the PSVR 2. We're close to the end, let's talk about moddability and flexibility. Well, this is pretty easy because the PSVR 2 is a closed system, it's a console system, so it's not really made to be modded. Even the hardware itself, in this case, is not very moddable. Well, you can add 1 meter to the cable if you want. I'm gonna leave a link in the description below. You can use, for example, different headphones, but that's about it. Instead, on the Quest 2 is amazing how many mods they're possible because they were made possible by the design to start with. I mean, there are probably 1,000 of straps out there to help you with comfort. Also, its flexibility, the PSVR 2 can be used just with the PS5. You can't connect it with the PC, unfortunately. Instead, the Quest 2 can work as a standalone headset, but can also work as a PC VR headset. So, if you have a PC powerful enough, you can use it for PC VR games like simulators, and also they have amazing graphics. You can use it with the cable if you want, or you can use it wireless, and that's pretty cool as well. 1 point to the Quest 2. And now the last point, let's talk about the price. The Quest 2 goes for $399. That doesn't include, of course, a decent strap that will cost you around $60. But yeah, with that, you're set to go and you can start to play. Instead, the PSVR 2 is $599, and to that, you have to add the console that is $499. And I'm pretty sure that in Europe, it's more expensive, both the console and the headset. So well, it's more. It's pretty easy to give a point here. It goes, of course, to the Quest 2. But yeah, here we are at the end of this comparison, and if my calculations are right, we have 7 points for the PSVR 2 and 5 points for the Quest 2. So I guess we have a winner. Congrats! To be honest, I was expecting a bigger difference between the two. The PSVR 2 is very, very good, but it still doesn't feel like that next generation forward. As a VR headset, I mean. But we have to say that we had the bonus points at the beginning and in the screens to make better decisions. If you want to compare in games though, it's like playing in low settings or ultra settings on the PSVR 2. Well, I think in this case the idea is they're both very good headsets to own. It depends on really what you want to do. If you don't have a PC and your interest is mostly in games, well, the PSVR 2 I guess is the way to go right now. There's bigger and better looking games, the library is less but it's gonna grow very fast. But yeah, you need a PS5. Instead, if you want something portable and ready to use everywhere, to try different experiences, not just for gaming, or you have a PC and you want the flexibility to play games also there in VR with great mods and something like it, well, the Quest 2 is the way to go. Or maybe it just falls down to an easy, do you want to join the metaverse or do you want to just play games? Well, let me know, are you gonna join Team Meta or Team Sony? I hope that this kind of video actually helped you taking a decision. I really hope so. At the end, everything falls back to the first point. Which one do you prefer? But yeah, the PSVR 2 is gonna have cool exclusives. Anyway, if you liked the video and it helped, like. If you didn't like the video, dislike. Subscribe to the channel for more VR tech. If you really love the channel, there's a join button there, lead on them further. Also the Patreon, thanks to all the patrons to join the channel, of course. See you guys in the next video, and stay tuned for the true analysis video and much more content for the PSVR 2. Just arrived. So far is all, I see you soon. Ciao!